After helping over 1,000 clients hit consistent 10K months with their online courses and coaching programs, I've discovered exactly what works, what doesn't, and the one crucial insight every course creator needs to hear. But it wasn't always easy, and to get to the point, and but it wasn't always easy. And to get to the point I am today, I had to grind a lot over the last decade. So, to help make your journey growing your online business 10 times faster and easier, here are 30 brutal truths about building an online course or coaching business I wish I'd known a lot sooner. And the last one will make or break your business, so stick around till the end for it. All right, so who's ready? Let me know in the chat. Give me that like. First of all, drop that like and drop in the chat who is ready for the 30 lessons that I wish I knew a lot sooner about building my online business. Let's dig into it. Let me know that you're ready in the chat. All right, so lesson one. Have you noticed how none of your friends. Okay, let's start again. Have you ever noticed how none of your friends and family really seem to understand your desire to create an online business? When I told my parents over a decade ago that I wanted to focus on creating content and building online products, they were like, are you sure that's a good idea?" Hi, Gabriel. Welcome. Well, here's the truth. Most people won't understand why you are doing this or how tough it is. They're either going to think you're crazy or they're going to think you're lazy and be like, get a real job. And that's why it's so important to surround yourself with others who share your desire to build this thing. So, lesson number one is connect with like minded entrepreneurs and support each other because when they learn, you'll learn. And this simple hack will keep you motivated and speed up your progress a ton. So, let me know in the comments if you have a group of entrepreneurs who can help you with your online business and who are on this journey with you. All right, lesson two. So, this is how most people experience online business. They start by creating content because they think they need to build an audience to be able to sell, and then they'll eventually make money. But by the time that they are here, they quit. They quit because they're so burnt out from creating content and seeing no results for years. Because, like, yeah, growing an audience is important, but it takes forever. But what if I told you that you could start here? You can. And lesson number two is to build your offer first and then create content around that offer to sell it. You'll start making money from day one and you'll sell more because you'll know exactly what type of content to create to attract your clients. Okay, lesson three. Think of one thing that you do every single day that constantly causes you pain, and yet you just keep doing it anyway. You probably can't think of anything, right? Because why on earth would you keep doing something that keeps hurting you? It's irrational. But that's business. You're going to feel like you're failing more often than you are succeeding. And yeah, it's going to hurt. So, lesson number three is when you experience pain or the urge to give up, realize that it's just a sign of growth and progress. And if you push through this and keep going, you will gain a massive advantage because 99% of people quit when it gets tough. So tell me, are you going to stick around and make your business happen? Drop a yes in the chat if you are ready for this, because even though it hurts, entrepreneur is one of the most rewarding and fulfilling things that you can do in your life. So drop in the chat right now and let me know if you're going to continue, and I'm going to root you on. Lesson four. Do you have a hero, like someone who you really admire? I did, and I couldn't believe it when they invited me to be on their channel. Yeah. In fact, I thought that when I went on and on to them about building a course business, I was just being annoying. Like, I didn't even realize until later that the very reason that they invited me was because I spoke about my expertise all the damn time. So, lesson number 4 is to speak up at every chance you get. Whether you're at a dinner or a mastermind or in the YouTube comments section, your next speaking gig, whether you are at a dinner or a mastermind or the YouTube comments section, your next speaking gig or client or interview opportunity is just waiting to find you. So, with that, leave in the comments below what you do. Speak up. Okay, lesson 5. I have lost count of how many times I've been told to fuck off when reaching out to a potential client. Seriously. And for a long time, it really made me want to defend myself to them or to stop doing outreach altogether. And then I realized that with client outreach, for every fuck off that I got, I also got like 3 sales. So, lesson number 5 is celebrate every fuck off you get, because while you're going to get a ton of them, it means that you're doing what you have to do to get closer to your goals. But every second that you waste moping about it is time you could have spent on more outreach that will bring in your next client. Lesson 6. I had a 7-figure business in Brazil. Here we go. I had a 7-figure business in Brazil for 4 years when I decided that I wanted to start a second business in the US. This business right here. But it took me another 3 years to actually start it, simply because I was telling myself that nobody knew me and who would listen to this Brazilian girl anyway. And when I realized that I was letting my dream slip by because I was just fucking scared, that changed everything. I stopped worrying about what people would think. I stopped checking on my competition all the time, and I got down to action. And this was the result. Yeah, even though I had 0 audience. So, lesson number 6 is, if you're scared, do it anyway, because courage isn't the absence of fear. It's following through despite the fear. And when you simply begin taking action, the fear dissipates and your confidence grows. I promise, I have been there. I know that business is scary, but you can do that. You can do this, okay? All right. Lesson number 7. Let me know in the chat. How many times have you seen gurus talk about hacks to go viral or tricks to grow your audience? The truth is, all of that is a waste of time. Online business, like any other business, is about relationships, and you don't need a single follower to make $10,000 a month. Not even one. So the lesson here is focus on selling, not on growing your audience, because your community will grow naturally. Lesson 8. I got to meet one of the biggest names in the online education space. And even though I really admired them, I learned that they ran their business in a way that made absolutely no sense to me. Like, sure, they had a big audience, but they were running constant launches, which I find exhausting. And they were creating content nonstop. And they had a giant team, so their profit margins were tiny. And in the end, I'm taking as much profit home as they are, even though my audience is small and I work half as much. So, lesson number 8 is stop comparing yourself to others. The biggest names are not always the most successful, and many get so caught up in growing their audience that their business is a complete mess. And then they don't earn as much as it seems, and they work insane hours. And their lives, like, I can't think of a hotter hell. So, let me know if you find yourself comparing yourself to people in your niche. Do you? Let me know in the chats. And if you in the chats, and if you do, stop doing that. All right, lesson number 9. Do you ever struggle for motivation? Drop a yes in the chat if you ever struggle for motivation. I know that I sometimes do. And if you do too, What I recommend is watching podcasts and videos about other creators and entrepreneurs sharing how they had massive success. But make sure that they're outside your niche. That's the big caveat here. Because seeing other people succeed who you don't compare yourself to will really inspire you to take action. So tell me someone, who do you really admire in your niche? Or I'm sorry, outside of your niche, right? Let me know who they are. And then once you're done with this live, go watch an interview with them telling their story so that you can get inspired and get motivated. Okay, lesson 10 is a big one. Never make the course you want to make and then get upset that nobody bought it. Your business is about your clients. It's about a problem that they have and a solution that they're looking for. So before you create anything, talk to your potential clients and find out what they want to buy. Because if you just assume that your idea is a good idea because you'd buy it, you are setting yourself up to fail. Is anybody here guilty of that? I know I am. When I created my first online course, I created the whole thing, all the lessons, all the slides, all the things. And when I heard crickets, I was like, why? It's so good. I would buy the thing. And then I went and I did some research and I realized that nobody wanted it. All right. Lesson 11. Let me ask you a question. Let me know what your answer is in the chat. Are you afraid of YouTube? Most people are. And as a result, they put off starting a channel and taking advantage of the most powerful marketing tool out there. See, years ago, I was stuck in the hamster wheel of short form content creation and launching, and that led me straight to burnout. But when I finally got the energy to check back in with my business, I noticed that my YouTube was still driving sales and my channel was still growing, even though I was not posting anything. So the lesson here is, if you've been thinking about starting your channel, stop thinking and start doing. This is the absolute best long-term investment you can make in your business, and it'll pay off for years to come, even when you're not working. All right, lesson 12. If I gave you the opportunity to take wads and wads of your own cash and burn it right up, would you take it? Of course not. That would be stupid, right? And yet, thousands of online entrepreneurs do just that every day, thinking that it'll get them clients, but it rarely does. That's because if you're not crystal clear on who your ideal client is, and if you haven't nailed the messaging that feels magnetic to them, and if you don't know their exact buying triggers for your offer, then buying ads is like burning cash. So the lesson here is, leave ads for when you're scaling a validated offer that already gets plenty of organic traffic. Now, I know from talking to a bunch of you that lots of you have made this mistake before. So tell me, have you ever invested in ads and then heard crickets, not gotten a single sale? In other words, burnt your cash? Tell me in the chat. Okay. Lesson 13. You might have heard people say that to grow a business, you need to copy what works. And they're right. You kind of do. The best path to success is to follow processes that have worked for others to a T. That's why working with a business mentor or coach who has achieved what you want to achieve is the fastest and the cheapest way to reach your goals, because when you do it yourself, you end up wasting a ton of time and money. The thing is, a lot of people mistake following a proven method for just flat out being a copycat. So don't. Okay, lesson 14. The most important things to focus on are the ones that people never do, even when they have proof that it's what works. Seriously, nothing drives me crazier than hearing someone say, oh, I need to build a website, or oh, I need to make a logo, because none of that will get you closer to your goals. Yet people get stuck with shiny object syndrome because it's the perfect way to procrastinate, right? They're doing something that feels productive, but really they're just avoiding the scary things that will actually move the needle. So, lesson number 14 is forget all the things you need to do and instead focus on just three things: building a client pipeline, making sales, and delivering insane results for your clients. And when you want to get to 10K months, literally nothing else matters. Lesson 15. Who's ready for lesson 15? Let me know in the chat, you guys. Come on. Y'all are quiet today. Ready for lesson 15? All right, let's go. I once described sales as soul crushing, and doing anything related to sales made me feel really gross. Can you relate? Let me know in the comments. But after my clients started sharing their results with me, I realized that sales is actually the most generous thing that I could do. And the same is true for you too. See, there are people out there who are in pain, and you have the solution to their problems. So when you sell to them, you're giving them the opportunity to change their lives. And not only that, like when people go through a transformation, they're better able to help other people. So your sales are actually creating a ripple effect of impact. The lesson here is then that sales is not only the most important skill that you can master as an entrepreneur, it's also the best tool available to you to help people. So, next time you're feeling icky about sales, remember that you are giving back, that this is a good thing, that sales is the best thing, the most generous thing that you can do. Lesson 16. Have you ever looked through all the people doing what you do and thought to yourself, oh, fuck, my niche is so saturated, and then given up on even trying to start your online business? I see this happen all the time, but the truth is, if there are people being successful online doing what you do, that means there's demand for it. So the lesson here is that if there's demand, then there are sales to be had. So do not let the competition stop you. All right. Lesson 17. Your most successful business is already in you. Here's what I mean. When you build a course based on a transformation that you yourself have been through, your clients will resonate with your story and will build a connection with you. So, lesson 17 is don't try to build a course around something random. Instead, think of the hardest thing that you've overcome, reverse engineer the steps you took to go through the transformation, and then build your course or coaching program based on that. Lesson 18. Yesterday, a client of mine told me that his sales number. All right, let's try again. Yes, I think I need a drink of water, guys. Who's hydrating? Are y'all hydrating? Good. All right. So, yesterday, a client of mine told me that his sales numbers were really bad. He told me he had only made one sale in the past week. But when we broke down his numbers, he had actually only spoken to 4 potential clients, which means that his conversion rate was 25%. That is higher than the industry average of 20%. So, what that means is that if he had talked to 8 people, he would have had 2 sales. And if he had talked to 16 people, he would have had 4 sales. And at $2,500, that's the cost of his program, that would be $10,000 right there. So the lesson is it's a numbers game. Doing outreach with one person or getting on one sales call will rarely get results. But if you repeat, then you will get the results that you want. So tell me, how much are you actually doing the thing that you need to be doing? I'm calling you out. Let me know in the chat. All right. Lesson 19. Do more, but do less. What? That makes no sense. What I mean is when you think you've done enough outreach, enough sales calls, enough following up, do more, but do less things. You don't need to create content on Instagram and TikTok and LinkedIn and launch 6 times a year and send an email every day. So the lesson is identify the 2 or 3 things that consistently bring in clients and just do more of those and eliminate everything else from your plate. Okay. Who's guilty of doing way more than they need to be doing? I know I have been. So let me know in the chat. Okay. Do you ever think you are so good at what you do, but you're just so bad at marketing? Like, fuck, I suck at marketing. You might even get annoyed when someone else in your niche blows up because you know that your system is better, you have so much more experience. It's just not fair. But it doesn't matter how good you are if you don't understand what your audience really wants. And when you figure that out, marketing becomes super easy. So, lesson number 20 is to stop telling yourself that you know your shit and that's good enough and start focusing on getting to know your audience better than anyone else. Knowing what keeps your people up at night, like the thoughts that race through their brain in their own words, is what's going to make you absolutely magnetic and people want to buy from you. I said it. All right, you guys. We're about halfway through. Who's getting some good value nuggets here? Let me know. Let me know why I sip this coffee. All right. Lesson 21. I'm looking to buy an apartment in New York, and stick with me because this has everything to do with your business. All right. So, in my search, I came across some apartments that were like a quarter of the price of the others, and I couldn't find anything wrong with them. You know, when you see someone, you're like, that's too good to be true. But I could not find anything wrong with them. But then when I looked further, I learned that there's a thing in New York real estate called a land lease, meaning the building is built on rented land. Like that's why these apartments are so much cheaper because the landlord of, the land could choose to not renew the lease and then you'd lose your property. They could like bring the building down. The same thing can happen with your business when you build on rented land online. So, what does that mean? With your business, it means when you grow your audience on social media, you don't own that audience and you could lose it at any time. That's why, when it comes to marketing, the number one thing that you need to focus on is building your email list because that is the only thing that you actually own. You can take your contacts anywhere. If you move platforms, if Instagram goes down tomorrow, if YouTube decides to ban you, you still own your email list. So do not build on rented land. Lesson 22. Speaking of emails, okay, in 1 second, tell me what this email is about. Now, tell me what this email is about. All right. Lesson number 22 is keep your titles short. Anywhere, emails, YouTube, titles, wherever it is. Keep your titles short, ideally under 50 characters, whether it's your email subject lines or your YouTube videos or social media hooks. That's because they're just so much faster to recognize and digest, which means you stick out and stand more of a chance of getting an open or a click. Lesson 23, you probably always feel like you don't have enough time for your business, but this is going to fix it. To get shit done, just in your schedule every day, just block out an hour or two with no interruptions to focus on actions that bring in clients. Now, that might mean that you have to sacrifice something, but you won't meet anyone successful who didn't. So, if you're serious about this, you need to make time for it daily and prioritize it above everything else. If you don't, you are going to struggle. I'm bringing the real shit today, you guys. All right. Lesson 24. I love this one. Stop being creative. It's keeping you broke. Yep, I said it. Let's say that you were looking to buy a course and you came across two different options. Okay. The first is called Good Grapes Galore. The second is called The Winemaker's Blueprint. Now, If you're looking for a course on winemaking, you're definitely going to go for the second option because it clearly states what you're going to get. It's a blueprint that will help you become a winemaker. So, lesson 24 is all about naming your offer. What you need to do when you name your course is work out what is the solution that your ideal clients want and then name it something that directly relates to that solution. There's no need to be cute or creative or clever because you're just going to cause confusion, and confused people don't buy. Can I hear that? Can we repeat that? Confused people don't buy. Drop it in the chat to let me know that that really sank in. All right. Lesson 25. Have you ever stopped to consider that the reason your courses, which are packed with an amazing transformation, don't sell is because you make your potential clients feel insecure? Now, I have worked with thousands of coaches and course creators at this point, and this problem is way more common than you'd expect. Because the second a client comes into contact with you, either through a video or a call, they judge you. And if you lack confidence, it hits your credibility, and then they will never buy from you. So, lesson 25 is always, no matter how good you are at your expertise, play yourself up. Show off the results that you've gotten for yourself and your clients. Leverage your wins and do it all with unwavering confidence. All right, I'm loving that you guys are telling me in the chat that you're getting this stuff. That's right. Stop being creative. Itabe. Itabe? Did I get that right? That's right, Gabriel. All right. Lesson 26. Are you too friendly with your potential client? You All right. Are you too friendly with your potential clients or viewers? Most people forget that 99.9% of them have never heard of you. They don't trust you, and they don't have any idea if you're credible or trustworthy. And the mistake that you make is talking to them like they're friends instead of strangers. This is why lesson number 26 is to always assume the audience has no idea who you are or what you do, but to make them want to know you with amazing content or conversation that builds your credibility. I've been very guilty of this in the past, you guys. Just be like, "Hey, sup?" And people are like, "Who is this bitch?" All right. Lesson 27. Here's how I blew up a business using this lesson. A few years ago, my client Sandra wanted to sell her social media course, but everyone in the social media growth niche was making the same exact mistake. So instead of copying what everyone else was doing wrong, we researched adjacent niches like business and finance and found that super niche focused programs were performing the best. Meanwhile, in social media land, everyone was just making generic social media courses. So we switched her social media course to a social media course for sommeliers. You see the niching down there? And in 90 days, we generated $28,000. So the lesson here is don't just blindly copy your niche because there's a very good chance that everyone else is making the same mistake. Now, lesson 28. How would you feel if the reason your business wasn't growing was because of one word or one phrase? Well, that's actually quite likely. You see, the toughest thing to do online isn't to set up a course or to master sales. The toughest thing is to get attention from people who need what you have to offer. And that's why lesson number 28 is get to know your clients better than anyone else and use the one thing that they want the most in their own words in every piece of content that you make. My client, Louisa, went from making 0 course sales to making 70K in 2 months because she started using a single word in her marketing, a word that her clients were using, but that she was ignoring. That was a tough lesson for her, you guys. She was like, oh, all along, that's all I needed to say. 1 second, you guys. All right. It's when your camera stops rolling. I'm like, fuck, my camera just stopped rolling. All right, we're back. Lesson 29. Now, I hate to break this to you, but nobody cares about you except for me. Of course, me. I love you. But the point is, if you're creating content that's all about you and you're trying to attract buyers, you are going to fail. Like, sure, you can add your own storytelling because people love and relate to stories, but the lesson is that every piece of content you make with the goal of selling your program should relate back to your clients' pains and fears and desires and goals. Forget about you. Nobody cares about you. Sorry. Lesson 30. What part of your course should you spend most of your time on? Any guesses? Let me know in the chat. Well, it's not filming your lessons. It's not building your website. It's not even sales. You need to spend 10 times more doing market research because it's just so crucial. And when I realized this years ago, I shifted the method that I teach my clients to start with in-depth market research. And within 90 days, all my clients were making $10,000 months. That's because when you start with market research, you build confidence, you figure out how to create magnetic content, and most importantly, you build a pipeline of hot leads who are ready to buy from you. So the lesson is stop building your course right now and start booking calls with ideal clients to truly understand what they want. That simple. Bonus lesson, and this is the most important one. Okay, so right now you're probably thinking, okay, I've done the research, now I can build the course, right? Nope. Building an online course is time consuming. There's a steep learning curve with all the tech that you need, and worst of all, it's expensive. So let's not waste time or money, and instead, let's just sell the thing before you even create it. That way, you can get cash flow and validation, and then you can invest in building the thing because you'll already know that people want it. In fact, they will have already paid you for it. So, if you want the exact step-by-step process on how to do this, then watch the video that I have linked in the description below so that you can see exactly how to sell your course before you even build it. Now, I just hit you with some gems, so let's get to some questions. Does anybody have any questions that they want to talk about? Let me know in the chat below, and we can now start our Q&A. Thank you guys so much for being here. I love these live sessions with you all. They are always so fun. All right. Maria Perez says, how much is your program? Do you offer payment plans? We absolutely offer payment plans. Digital Business Builder is designed to be accessible to anyone who actually wants to make a difference in their lives. So, Maria, I have a link at the top of the chat. Just go ahead and schedule a call and we can talk about all the details because I don't like talking commitment unless we know it's a good fit, right? I want to make sure that I can absolutely help you. So schedule that call and feel free to leave your credit card at home. You guys, our calls are super low pressure. They are meant to just really get a really good idea of what you want to do, offer you personalized strategy for your own business. And then if it's a good fit, then we can talk about a payment strategy that works for you. All right. Any other questions? Any other questions? Going once, going twice. All right, you guys. So next week, we are going to be back here at 12 p.m. Eastern once again. So every Wednesday at 12 p.m., I am here to bring you some nuggets and to answer all your questions. All right, so Gabriel is asking, what do you think of low ticket courses versus mid ticket? To get to 10K months, do you think it's much easier with a course of a certain size or price? I love this question, Gabriel, because this is a mistake that I see people making so often, right? Which is that they want to get to 10K months, but they don't have an audience. And then they're like, okay, well, if I want to make sales, then it needs to be priced in a way that's accessible. And then they price their course at like $100. And then if you do the math, it takes like what, 1,000 clients to get to $10,000 a month. And if you don't have an audience, that's going to be like practically impossible unless you pay for ads. But we just spoke about how ads is literally taking wads of cash and burning it, right? So what you should do instead is think of a value-based transformation. Again, a problem that your clients have that they're in pain about, that they're spending money trying to solve. And then you really want to think about how much money that is costing them. You'll often see that that's costing them north of $500, $1,000. And that's a really good place to start, where it makes it really feasible for you to start making those 10K months. So with all that said, we go into the mindset piece too, where I know a lot of people are like, oh, but I couldn't possibly charge that much for a course. And when we go into that market research that I talk so much about, you'll see that that's not true at all, that people are in a lot of pain, that people are already spending a lot of money, and they're just dying to get rid of this problem. And they'll tell you exactly all the things that they need. So let me know if that answers your question. But basically, you definitely want to start a little bit on the higher side, meaning at least $500, but usually $1,000 is really going to be a good place to start for your program. All right. Aitabe. Oh, and you guys keep sending the questions, all right? Aitabe, am I saying your name right? I'm so sorry if I'm not. Please correct me. But your question is, I train educators to center intuition and teaching and learning, but I've discovered their core issue is that they don't know how to make money with their course. So should I change my focus? See, this is the wonderful thing about doing that research, which is people will literally tell you what they need and what they don't need. And often we are so like invested in the thing that we want to make that we forget about what they're actually willing to buy. So you've got this huge win here, Aitabe, which is you've already found out that what you wanted to do originally probably doesn't have that much of a market for, but your people have already told you what they want. So I would absolutely change your focus to be more focused on the things that your clients actually are telling you that they want. Let me know if that answers your question or if you have any follow-up questions with that. All right. Gabriel, is that evergreen or with live support? Okay, both. Okay, so a lot. I love this. I love when people ask me about evergreen and live support because this changes everything in your business, you guys. All right. So I don't know if you could tell, I get excited. So the thing about evergreen programs is that they take so much work off of your plate because you don't have to constantly launch. And at least with the method that I teach, we're using YouTube as your evergreen marketing machine, right? It's constantly bringing you new leads. So if you were to open cart and close cart, first of all, you'd be missing out on um, a lot of clients coming in because you can literally get clients in the door every day. And the thing with live support is also, yes, so evergreen and live support. So being evergreen also takes support off your plate because here's what happens, right? You have clients coming in constantly into your program. What that means is that you'll have clients that have been working with you for a longer period of time and clients who are brand new. And often clients who are brand new come in with so many questions, right? They need to really get in there and ask all the things, and they're going through a bunch of mindset issues. And then your older clients, your veteran clients, are really quick usually to be like, hey, yeah, I remember when I was going through this. This is what I did. This is how I solved this issue. So your veteran clients end up taking so much of that support off your plate because they're acting as mentors to your newer clients. On top of that, a lot of the times your veteran clients will act as inspiration too, because they'll be, having these amazing wins that your new clients who are like bright-eyed and fresh really want, and then they start to see what's really possible for them. So the ideal structure is to have an evergreen program where you're constantly letting people in, and then you'll have your live support once or twice a week, whatever it is, depending on your niche, and then having all your clients on that same live support in that same community, so that you can help everyone at the same time and they can help each other. Let me know if that answers your question, Gabriel, and if there are any follow-up questions. All right. Looks like we are good to go, right? All right, you guys. So, again, super excited to see you all next Wednesday at 12 p.m. Let me know if there are any pressing issues, if there's anything that you are super struggling with right now, and I will maybe make the entire live about it next week. All right. So, if you want to talk more about how you can build your sold out course and make $10,000 consistently every month in the next 90 days, then go ahead and book a call with my team. We are going to talk about you, your program, give you personalized strategy. And again, this is a totally no pressures call. Leave your credit card at home, or in the other room, because you're going to be at home. And let's have a chat. All right, we will talk next week. See you soon. Oh, and by the way, to schedule that call, the link is in the description below. All right, you guys, see you next time. Have a great rest of your week. Bye.